it's funny you say that. Dr. Karen Purvis did a bunch of studies. She's passed away, but she did some studies that said to create neural stimulation or new neural pathways in your brain, or I call them like new activities in your brain, it takes 400 repetitions, unless those things are perceived as play, where in which they only take 25.
Right.
And so 400 reps to 25 reps, that's why a lot of these PTs now, they become resellers, and we have just a very basic like 4-pod pack. They say, hey, get these, take them home, and I can send you the workouts that I want you to do at home that day. So they save them in this little collections file, and it's real easy. They can go on them and say, all right, these are the 6 things that I'm going to do this week as prescribed by my PT, and that's just to help people get better faster. So when they're in the clinic, people ask for them all the time.
And you prefer MC, right?
That's how the business world knows me. Yep.
Then you go with that. The funny part, the hardest part for me, welcome to the show, by the way. We've already started. We start before you know we've started. The funniest part was was everybody, growing up, everybody just called me Jimmy. It's my name. Then I went into radio. And when you're in radio, you either quickly pick your own air name, or if you wait too long, they give you one and you cannot wash it off. It's like a football nickname, right? So I quickly went with my last name, which is McKay. So I was just McKay. So the funny part is I knew exactly where I knew the person from based on what they called me. But then you leave radio and you can't walk around like calling yourself by your radio name, right? You can't just, So it's been like a transition for me, because for 15 years, close to 15 years, I was just McKay. And now I'm like, I'm Jimmy again. It's not as exciting. All right, cool. But go with it. But I once had a girl tell me, I was dating this girl, and she was like, you'll never be taken seriously if you call yourself Jimmy. And I was like, all right, but a James doesn't fit with me. So if you have MC, go with MC, man.
People have been calling me that. Michael Cummings, my initials. And I just do like little E, big M, big C, little E. So master of ceremony. It's what I do. So it's good.
So the audience just heard the intro. They sort of have your 60,000 foot view for your background, right? But you paired up with something I saw. I don't know even how long ago I saw BlazePods for the first time, online, just a crazy quick clip video. And I don't think it needed a lot of explanation. I think the minute you saw someone see it and using it, you're like, oh, the biggest parallel, and I'd love your take on this. The biggest parallel was, for me, I was like, oh, it's like a QR code. It brought, like, in my mind, I thought QR codes could have been like the greatest thing in the world. They haven't taken off, but it was like, oh, it's a real world version of a click on the internet, right? To me, it was like, oh, I want them to do all these things. Like, hey, touch this Post-it note, or, pick up this thing. But then you watch it and it instantly changes that patient or that client's brain, where you don't really need to tell them anything because the thing is doing the thing with light or what. Like, it was just very intuitive. So the minute you saw people using it, you were like, oh. But then there's the pause, because I think there's 1,000 ways that we haven't even thought of right now in 2024 that people will be using it in a couple of years. So let's start with this. If someone has been living under a rock and doesn't know what the hell BlazePods are, how do you describe what they are, how they work?
Yeah, to me, it's a reactive training system. And when you think of reaction training, reaction time, there's that perceptual component, there's the processing speed component, and then there's the what do I do and how quickly can I do that? So it's not just reacting as quickly as possible, but it's doing the right thing as quickly as possible. And it's competitive. And like you said, I built a platform, a full-blown platform with colors and numbers. And I went out and traveled the world teaching cognitive agility, and it was just me. And I'm like, okay, when I hold up the red flag, you go right. And when I hold up the green flag, you go left. And if I yell number 1, that's a volley, or, working with whatever. And when I found BlazePod, I found it kind of the same way you did. I was looking at it, I was like, dude, this thing is really cool. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can make this digital. I can pull an app out, touch a button, and do all of the things that, like, I would roll up with like 4 suitcases filled with like colors and lights and gear. And it was all analog, nothing electronic. And so this changed my world when I found this reactive.
Because now you can have preset games. Like, all right, so we'll go back to my career in radio. We'd get sent out to a bar event, because I worked at a rock station. We'd get sent out to a bar event, and they'd always want us to, hey, have some fun, play some games, right? And I remember in the beginning of my radio career, I'd be like, oh man, what am I going to do? So I'd try to like create these like elaborate fun games. And then I realized, the best games to play with with adults at a bar to get them interactive, it's kids games, man. It's hot potato. It's musical chairs because, and here's why, you don't really have to explain the rules. They're embedded and they're simple. And from what I've seen with BlazePods, you probably don't need to do a lot of explaining. You might need to give a prompt, but then from there on, they're pretty intuitive. Where like when you get an Apple phone, there's a lot you can do with it. You sort of figure it out by using it. You don't have to give them a manual. They're going to be able to figure it out.
Well, we're good enough now, Jimmy, where you can say, yo, I got an event at a bar, and we call it being a podhead. Like, you're a podhead. We call them pod games. But I could literally send to your phone a link of a drill I just created. And then all you have to do is I can create, it's a template. Have the video, it'll have how to set it up and what to do. I can do that in 10 seconds. Well, maybe 30 seconds to record the video. So we're doing that all the time. People are asking us for different things. We're shooting off these drills to individuals. And it's so easy, man. Like, and that's why like PTs will send them to their clients. Personal trainers are sending them to or their patients and clients. Like, people are just sending these exercises out for them to do at home, or the head of a clinic might be sending out, hey, this is week 1 with all of our neuro patients or all of our vestibular patients. That's vestibular day 1. And then they can just log in and they can find those drills and knock them out.
So you talked about a couple audiences, like PTs or trainers sending it to their clients or patients. But then what PTs love too, and here's my proof of why they love it. If you look at Instagram, some of the best performing videos and reels and short form content is like treatment techniques. Like, oh, give me a different way to do this. Oh, give me this. So I mean, there must be a ton of like PT to PT or trainer to trainer or trainer to PT going, hey, I got this new drill, or I designed this new drill. And so you're telling me the platform that you have with that, if I had a cool idea in upstate New York, I could create the video, create the template, and then make it shareable or send it to my buddy in Florida, and he could be playing the same game or doing the same exercise if we had the same technology.
100%. In fact, next week, we're actually creating, I hate to use the term, but Instagram for BlazePod, where you can have all of Jimmy's exercises. So people will be like, oh, I love what he's doing. They can follow you and they can look at everything you're doing. So Kevin Wilk is one of our early adopters. He did a full-blown like ACL program with it. Some of his fellows are also using it quite regularly. And so he'll have a page up there with all of the drills that he's doing regularly. So PTs around the world can go on and say, oh, this is the guy I follow because I love what he's putting out. And so, yeah, we have lots of K-Star, Kelly Starrett. I guess he goes by Kel now. Same type of thing. Like, yeah, I always knew him as K-Star because he was a competitor of mine in a different life on different product, but super smart dude. I followed everything he did on social media, Instagram, and now he's coaching some water polo for his kids. And so we sent him some pods. And so I want to follow him as a strength and conditioning coach.
How does he use that
in the world of water polo? So now it'll be live on the website next week or maybe a week from then. And then it'll be on the app, I think, early 2025.
Approximately how many stick figure drawings are there in the BlazePod app? I'm guessing the answer is 0. I mean, I went to PT school 9 years ago and we were handing out like 1970s cartoons. And that was like, well, this is the best we have. And I want to be like, we put someone on the moon. This is the best we have. And it was stick figures.
Bro, my favorite is the PRE, right? The perceived rate of exertion chart that we still use. Like, how do you feel? Like mad face to cry face to happy face. Like we're so archaic in some of the things that we still continue to use. It's crazy.
So it sounds
grateful to found BlazePod, who's initially a tech company. And that's where all of this stuff is really becoming real. Every modality I did was all analog. And to team up with a tech company and be able to put some of the stuff I know for education with that, dude, that's been the godsend.
Yeah, the tech is the how, but you're not really buying the tech. You never buy the drill. You buy the hole that you want to, produce in the wall, right? So you buy the BlazePods, you buy technology, and you're like, oh, this allows me to simply, quickly, clearly get these things, get people to do these things, or people to understand these things. Yeah. So do you see a lot of people like? I mean, obviously this is a layup for like a clinic. So if you're like, hey, what are we gonna buy this year? What are we gonna upgrade? I feel like a set or multiple sets of BlazePods at a PT clinic is a layup. Are there people that now go home and say, I'm prescribing you as your PT, you should continue to use these, and the way to be able to do these exercises and make them fun, because we know if they're not fun, I'm not going to do them. Do you see PTs like essentially becoming like official, unofficial reps for BlazePod. Like, you need these. Here's the website. Go buy these, take these home.
Here's a question for you. Do you want to boost your clinic revenue by $290 per patient per quarter? Of course you do. That's rhetorical. Physiotech's remote therapeutic monitoring can help you do that, enhance patient outcomes, ease provider workload, and turbocharge your earnings. Kickstart with RTM at physiotech.ca. That's physiotech.ca. And the thing you interact with the most at your clinic, if you're a therapist, like it or not, is your EMR. MW Therapy's all-in-one outpatient PT EMR gives you seamless integration of patient portals, marketing automations, and billing, all at one unbelievable value. Switching over is a breeze too. Kick the tires, take a test drive at mwtherapy.com. And where is your PT career going? It's not rhetorical, it's literal. Embark on extraordinary patient care adventures with Jackson Therapy Partners. Visit them at jacksontherapy.com. This is perfect for physical therapists eager to make their mark, to do what you want to do, where you want to do it. Discover where your career can take you at jacksontherapy.com.
Totally. It's funny you say that. Dr. Karen Purvis did a bunch of studies. She's passed away, but she did some studies that said to create neural stimulation or new neural pathways in your brain, or I call them like new activities in your brain, it takes 400 repetitions, unless those things are perceived as play, where in which then they only take 25.
Right.
And so 400 reps to 25 reps, that's why a lot of these PTs now, they become resellers. And we have just a very basic like 4-pod pack. They say, hey, get these, take them home, and I can send you
the workouts
that I want you to do at home that day. So they save them in this little collections file, and it's real easy. They can go on them and say, all right, these are the 6 things that I'm going to do this week as prescribed by my PT. And that's just to help people get better faster. So when they're in the clinic, people ask for them all the time. I mean, it is such an engaging tool, and it's brightened the color of, physical therapy clinics. I volunteered early on in numerous clinics, and I'm old, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to become a physical therapist. I felt my personality was a little bit too dynamic. And what I realize now is I think I volunteered in the wrong clinics because there's some amazing clinics. But back in my day, before the doctorate program was even available, we'd go in and it was just, I hate to say it, was kind of boring. It was so clinical.
A couple rubber bands, man.
Health is environment. Health is culture. Health is the people you surround yourself with. And I felt like I was walking into a place that was like a little sickly all the time. And I was like, oh, like, am I going to really do this? And, so you said you have 1/3 of a master's degree. I have 1/3 of a PT school degree.
So, all right, we've talked about, and again, I think a layup is sports clinics, ortho clinics, active clinics, trainers, coaches. Those are layups. People have done interviews on those before. I try to do something a little bit different, deeper, which is, I haven't thought about that. So let's go a different direction. Neuro rehab. You talked about, you opened the door a second ago about neuro rehab, right? Help me understand how BlazePod has really made, an impact in neuro rehabilitation. People that you maybe wouldn't think of like technology like this with people who have things like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's. I don't think that's as clear. It wasn't for me. It was very easy. A soccer team, an ACL rehab, like you mentioned. These things they're already making inroads on people with diseases like that, neurodegenerative diseases like that.
So there's a group out there called the Neurocollaborative, and they had something called Dendrite Expansion Day, and they had all their Sparkies out there. There was about, I think, 40 physical therapists, occupational therapists that were out there. It was really cool because they had this woman named JJ come in and kind of do the educational session. There was 3 clients. One had a spinal cord issue and obviously some brain issue. And then I'll speak to the woman that had Parkinson's. So this woman that had Parkinson's in a wheelchair, they wanted to cue, her left glute didn't work and all this other stuff. So they set up the step and the apparatus, and her goal was to kick this punching bag just to lift the leg up. They could not get her to do it. So Claire, who runs Rogue PT and Wellness in Orange County, California, she put the BlazePod around the bag. That woman in that wheelchair, you could see her eyes hyper focus on this light. And bro, within 30 seconds, she was been trying for 10 minutes. They could not cue her to do it. She stood off this step, kicked it, and then kicked it again, and then kicked it again. And then when they sat down and JJ was describing to everybody, she was pushed away and she's reaching still with her foot because she wants to continue to hit this light. Then they were doing some gait analysis with her. So, they have her strapped in and they have the belt around her so she doesn't fall. She's walking. And she was like 37 seconds to walk from one thing to another. Well, they put some BlazePods at the end of the room for her to go and get. Bro, she went from 37 seconds down to 19 seconds down to 16 seconds because it gave her this target. You talked about it. They're fun. They're addicting. They're like, there's something there. I don't exactly know what it is. I don't know if it's the cat chasing the laser or what these lights do, but gamifying a situation takes any human, no matter what capacity, what degenerative disease, what ailment they have, and turn them into that person. Like a kid, if I go get mail, I'm going to go walk to the mailbox, say hi to the neighbors. If I ask my kid to go get the mail, they're sprinting to the mailbox. They run everywhere. It forces this playful behavior out of people in a way that's functional, in a way that is targeted and works.
As much as we talk about like the downfall of society with like the social apps, right? Hang on, I just got to check my LinkedIn and ooh, what's that in the top right-hand corner, MC? Like I got notifications and it's red and it's bright and there's a number 4. 4 opportunity. I wonder what this is. We're big dumb animals in a good way. We're all big dumb animals. And we know like sort of how clickbait works or how the little red circle on Facebook works when I log in and I see, how many opportunities do I have? Let me open this. We know these things. And then as you mentioned, we clinicalize something. We've all walked into that PT clinic, or maybe you work there, maybe you still work there. We're like, man, it's like beige wallpaper, a couple of rubber bands, nothing heavier than a gallon of milk. And we're shocked when people don't get excited and move while they're there. You've created an environment that tells you to sit down and shut up. And we're confused when people don't stand up and run around. Our brains are wired for play. If we allow it, it just feels like you're the bait, man. I mean, you're the cheese in the fun mousetrap, which is like, I'll chase that. I'll punch that. I'll rotate faster to do that. I'm not sure what age it is. Is it 13, 15, 18, 25? When play isn't the first thing we think, right? Now we want objectives.
I think it's at the age too where you start to realize, like, do I look dumb doing this?
That could
and
be.
like,
That's
some
not
of the fittest people on the planet. Like they don't give 2 F's about like how they look. They're running everywhere. They're doing everything like, and not in like a prankster bad way, but in that kid way. They've never lost it. Like there's a big tree. I'm going to go climb it. There's a fence. I'm going to jump over it. There's 4 stairs. Like how many times in a 4 stair above the age of 12 did you just not jump down the whole thing?
Right.
And now you're walking down all 4 stairs. No, like I say, phooey to that. I'm gonna be jumping upstairs, jumping downstairs, pretending to rail slide stuff like my whole life. And I think that's the ability that one of the things that we call playful learning that BlazePod really does. And that's what really colors the clinic in a way that's been so fascinating. I've been to some of these clinics that have BlazePod on the walls. Bro, I'm stimulated when I walk in. I'm like, this is awesome. Children's Health does a great job at that. There's a couple clinics that like I've been into, and I'm like, I want to rehab in here, even though I'm not hurt.
I mean, when Atari came out, if you were to lay money on like which games were going to be successful, I bet you people were like, oh, it's the really complicated ones. And then you look at the ones that are simple, like Pac-Man. Well, you don't have to explain it that much, right? It's simple to do, but it's still got that element of like, what changes every level on Pac-Man? Well, the speed of the bad guys, the layout. So I've got to go a different maze. You look at like Mario Brothers. It's always Super Mario. It's always left to right. Coins, the noise. I haven't used BlazePod. They make noises.
They do not. No, I mean they don't. You
That's
get this
next.
1, 2, 3
There's your
whistle
coin.
to start.
But like they change color. They're interactive. They're haptic. Like I'm touching something. And when you give somebody a target that's real and not imaginary, they reach it, or they sure as hell try to reach it.
Well, and then the other great thing is they give you a time. They give you a score. And so you're like, not only do you compete against yourself, like, okay, this week you were this and this week you're this. And we can get into a whole bunch of stuff like how that can be a barometer for health and, whether to unload the workout or decrease the intensity of it or whatever it is based on, your baseline score. But the coolest thing with that is you're going against other people. There's a leaderboard on almost every drill. So you do one, I do one, we post the leaderboard up. A lot of clinics have the leaderboard right up there. And they're like, who's the
Yeah.
fastest today?
Yeah.
That score is that motivational piece that you want to come back and beat. We have these pods that we call it the Reactive Intelligence Wall, RIW. There's 6 pods set up. That's the one we do at all the APTA shows. So those are always up. Therapists will come by 50, 60 times and do the wall because to win a kid or just to compete. And Odell Beckham Jr., the NFL superstar, he has the highest score on the planet. It's 67.
Really?
And so I have trainers, I have like people, coaches, trainers, physios that call me. They're like, what's the high score? Because I think I have someone who thinks he can beat it. So they're going after this high score. And of course, you're trying to crush everybody you're there with. Sure. And what's such and such's score? That's the thing that makes it just so freaking fun and addicting.
We're social beings. Why are we shocked that when you make something social and fun and competitive, that people are more social, more fun and competitive and do it more? This should not shock us. It's a little confusing how it took us this long to actually understand this, but maybe the idea was there, but the technology wasn't. Because I've seen a lot of really creative PTs, long before Bluetooth and phones, like get very creative. I feel like the example I gave to a friend the other day, when I was explaining who I was talking to, meaning you, they're like, oh, I guess, yeah, it took a while for that technology to sort of come around. People probably could picture it. I go, yeah, there was an Incredible Hulk movie in the 80s where they painted Lou Ferrigno with paint, and then he ran around. It was like, yeah, that was the most we could do then. And then fast forward to whatever year the first Hulk, the next Hulk movie came out. It was so good you weren't seeing a guy who was painted green. You were really seeing there was no more suspended disbelief, right? And I feel like that's what BlazePod did. It was like, don't envision that Post-it note as a button. It's like, that's a button. When I push it, something happens, and then something else happens. And now I'm focused on the button. There's no pretend. This is a real thing. So let's go future. What role do you see BlazePod playing in physical therapy clinics in the next 5 years? You've explained a bunch of ways it's already doing this. Like, there's even some ideas I didn't know. And what's the thing? Don't say anything here that I have to delete or bleep out. But what could be next with this type of technology?
So I think what makes BlazePod so impactful, not only is the app super user-friendly, easy to deploy, Bluetooth connection, super easy. They're durable, they're light, they're portable, they're affordable, like they're waterproof, like all of the cool components. BlazePod is now going to get into other products. So I can't reveal a lot of it, but potentially things that have to do with hand-eye coordination, maybe things that have to do with like rebounding back and forth on certain things. So they're taking that awesome tech, and the tech has been out there, but just like the computer when it first came out that was hundreds of thousands of dollars and gigantic, there was reactive lights before. I used them at the lab in college. They were just $30,000. And labs could have them, but they weren't that useful. I couldn't deploy them at my whim. And so I think that's the cool thing with BlazePod is they know how to modularize things. They know how to make things that can do a lot, but still be at an affordable cost and at a level where you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out. That's the biggest thing is like nobody wants to buy tech and not know how to like pick it up and just use it. And those are the biggest troubleshooting things. People are like, oh, I don't know if I know how to use BlazePod. I go, have you opened the box? And a lot of times they're like, not yet. And I'm like, wait, your barrier of entry is like you're afraid that there's tech in that box. And once you open it up, you're like, oh my gosh, like this was so easy to just set up. So I think the analytics is going to improve where you're going to be able to tell a lot more things. Like if you're an injured individual at between the age of 70 and 80, we're going to have a lot better data that says you're in the whatever percentile of people that are dealing with ACLs and in this drill. The drills are going to get better. There'll be more analytics and data that you can refer to. And I think now that we're opening up this training hub to all these organic users, we'll filter out some of the ones and we'll just have kind of our professionals initially putting information out there. That's the sky's the limit there, because there's this girl that was working on some brain stuff, and she set the pods up in a way where she had 4 pods and they turned a different color. Each one of them turned a different color. She had cones and she was organizing the cones to match the colors of the pods. Then she hit a pod and they would recolor. And then she'd move the cones to match that. So she was effectively doing puzzles. Now, our app doesn't really have a way to do that, but she found a hack. And that hack is like, even though I'm one player, if I put 4 players all with a different color, I can do this drill. And so like we have to now change our app or improve our app to kind of hold up to all the cool things that all of these neuro PTs, pediatric PTs, ortho PTs are doing. They're literally making us work harder because they're creating such great things with it.
But you're able to adapt. The tech is able to, okay, cool, because it's a mixture of software and hardware, right? Like you're able to sort of adapt by from the user's suggestion, and that's when people will not only use you for one problem to solve, you're going to have a toolbox full of problems that you can solve in 100 different ways. You mentioned another patient population that, again, sports orthopedics, I feel like is a layup. That's the thing that people can see from a mile away. We talked about neuro and JJ Maudertini, you mentioned with the Neuro Collaborative. Let's talk about 2 more that always sort of get the short end of the stick, and one that doesn't, but maybe needs some more tech, and that's geriatric patients and pediatric patients. I feel like we play games with kids, but a lot of times they're toys. This feels like video games in real life. And why aren't older adults playing video games in real life? So talk about geriatric and pediatric settings, like 2 populations with such different needs. But I feel like if you put a creative trainer or PT in the room with BlazePods and those people, they figure it out.
So one of the biggest problems that we have, and I see it everywhere, we treat our older adult population like they're made of glass.
Yeah.
Like we will not challenge them. Like, what weight did you just give them? 1 pound.
Yeah.
1 pound.
What's
like
the deal?
That's doing nothing.
Right.
So we don't give them enough weight. We're too afraid. And maybe it's lawsuits and stuff that I don't know about. Okay. What I'm going to focus on is these older adult population. They want to be challenged. They want to go after that goal. They want to get to that number. I saw this woman with spinal cord injury couldn't roll. We couldn't cue her to roll. But when we put the pods next to her, we're like, go get that. She's like, boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, something in her neural system was like, I need to get after those. And so I would say BlazePod, if I tell you to run, hey, go touch that and come back, you're like, my legs are heavy. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, And you'll go there, maybe you come back. Now, if I have a light there and I'm like, all right, this is a reactive light, you can set the time to, you have 1.5 seconds to get there or 2 seconds to get there. When you have a target, when you have something to do, you're going for it. That's why when you're training, like you're a sprinter, you may never accomplish your sprint goal until competition. It's like, it's live. Right. Things are hyped up. It's like, now it's time. Now I'm under the shooter's pistol. Now there's the finish line. So all of that is what happens when you're creating these drills for your client population. The same thing happens, Jimmy, with in the pediatric population. And I would put like a big flag on, not a red flag, but a green go flag on autism. The autistic population that people are working with, and there's some neural elements there, love BlazePod. And one of the reasons why is because it helps them focus. One of the drills on it is we give you distracting lights, or we'll say, okay, you have to only touch that color with this hand and that color with this hand. And if you see this color, you got to turn around and do whatever it is. Right. So you can give them these cognitive cues for the light, for each light color. But what happens is, because now there's so much focus, they don't lose that like 3 seconds. Oh, I'm out chasing butterflies, or I'm looking for this and this. You are in it. So a lot of the science shows it's like we do a lot of drills for 30 seconds because people are going 100%. Geriatric, pediatric, doesn't matter. These people are going 100% because there's a timer on it and they want to accomplish that. They want to beat the score. But what it does on the other side is that it allows you to just lock in. And so we'll put it on like 2 or 3 minutes so that you can get this nice like cardiovascular fatigue, this nice metabolic fatigue that's happening, or neurological fatigue that's happening at the same time after a period of like 2 to 3 minutes. Well, that person who's never been able to focus longer than 10 seconds now just did a full-blown drill for 3 minutes. So now you're creating those neural pathways that have to do with stamina and resilience, whereas before they couldn't do that. And so they're really big in that pediatric setting. A lot of coaches will use it for that. They're like, yo, go hit the pods. This is your drill. I'll see you in 10 minutes. And they let them go. And these kids, like, they'll run the app by themselves. They are 100% focused.
Games, when we rise to the level of our competition or our motivation, and motivation's intrinsic. We talked about this the other day on the show, but when you can give me an external stimuli to then change my internal motivation, it works. This is a game. This is, hey, some people aren't into running, but some people will chase a ball all day. Great. Let's throw a ball in front of them. Let's make them do different things to get different things out of it. You mentioned data a few minutes ago, and obviously I'm just playing catch up here, right? Just learning about BlazePods. But research, something really important. You guys are supporting the Foundation for Physical Therapy Research as a partner. It's an organization that I'm, pretty related with, having served on the board of trustees for the last 5 years, which is weird to think. Been doing something like this for 5 years. But that's an organization, essentially, people are like, what do they do? I'm like, well, if you want to be able to prove something in physical therapy, you need research. To do that, you need people. To do that full time, you need money. And it just sounds like, man, BlazePod is probably a tool people could use on research studies to gather effective data on time and speed and amplitude and all those different things without having to have a lab that costs $10 million.
So David Rowan with SME, who great guy. He actually introduced me to one of my heroes, which is Marilyn Moffitt.
Oh, yeah.
We are a new partner in research. And so I'd mentioned Sarah earlier, Sarah Chaffee and David. And so they invited us in. They introduced us to a bunch of different people in that space. And so we love the idea of, supporting research. And the University of Utah, George Davies with Southern Georgia University, he's one of the leaders in taking BlazePod. In fact, he and Kevin Wilk have the most incredible, they're trying to change the return to sport or return to play or return to activity, whatever we're calling it now, that protocol to basically say BlazePod is the tool that needs to be used because it is the one that actually measures reaction time. So there's 3 separate third-party studies that validate BlazePod as a reliable measurement system. We didn't pay for it. Somebody came out and did that. University of Utah, again, like I was saying, they have used it as a measurement system for other things they're doing. And we that's awesome. That just proves how accurate the tech is. And then George Davies and Zach Thomas and a number of other PTs, they're doing actual protocols. Like maybe there's the shoulder protocol that takes you from one thing to another. They're creating those protocols using BlazePod. So instead of just touching and reaching and having use your goniometer, use your your eyes, giving these unbiased or these biased opinions. Now you can basically just say, all right, this is a quantitative game. This is a numbers game here. Right. The baseline for that, it's someone a male at someone your age dealing with that issue you had in your rotator cuff. There's that the range of that score is like a 40. And our algorithm with our tech is really cool because anybody who does it really wrong or really fast, we just take a subset this big. And so we're really linear or really targeted on the range we're taking. So 1,000 people do it, we're taking that medium score, and that it's not a wide gap either. So we want to be as accurate as possible. And so now we're looking at physical therapy clinics setting up these standardized protocols or assessments that they used to do for upper extremity mobility tests, et cetera. And now they're doing it with reaction and lights. And that's where true performance comes in, because now you have to be responsive. I could probably cheat my way into anything. I'm pretty athletic. But the moment you give me a score to beat and I'm going to throw, you can't cheat that. So that's one of the things that has been really impactful on the research side. Our big hope is to continue Davies, supporting Davies and Wilk and saying, hey, we are all for your return to play protocol using BlazePod. How can we support that? And how do we get the other PTs in the world to support that, where reaction time becomes one of the key components to get back into activity, which accordingly it isn't to this date. There's another decree or another element. Sorry, I'm not a PT that basically says, all right, this is the protocol for return to activity. and they want to include BlazePod or basically change it to BlazePod being the component of that.
Listen, if you're running a PT practice and you're still using old school systems, you're leaving time and you're leaving money on the table. Empower EMR is here to change that. It's an all-in-one, automated and built to streamline your scheduling, billing, and everything else so you can focus on what you do best, helping patients. Don't overthink it. Go to empoweremr.com. That's empoweremr.com. Book a demo and stop letting outdated tech hold you back. All right, PTs, if you're serious about crushing the OCS exam or leveling up your clinical game, Current Concepts of Orthopedic Physical Therapy, 5th edition, is where it's at. This is your one-stop shop for the latest in ortho PT, with expert insights on every joint, real-world case scenarios, and evidence-backed techniques. Don't sleep on this. Go to orthopt.org right now and get a sneak peek and start prepping like a pro. That's orthopt.org. One more time, orthopt.org. Go there. That's what PTs are always looking for, right? What's the gold standard? What's the thing that if I measure it on this study, I'm comparing it the same way that someone else did it in that study? We want to be able to, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing and measuring, we're not just an outlier or someone can't replicate it. So, I mean, I don't know. We're recording this in 2024, but might not be long before BlazePod is the gold standard or looked at like the gold standard tool in terms of reaction time or however PTs can use it. So let me ask you this. What would the future look like if you can now, in terms of clinic? So what I'm getting at is where the hell was BlazePod 7 years ago when I first got out of PT school? And I pitched an idea to the first clinic owner, Carlos, that I worked for. And I said, listen, let's take the thing that football fans for some reason love to watch to get new patients in the door. He was like, Jimmy, you have a marketing background. Now you're a PT. So I walked in one day and said, Carlos, we're going to create the combine for baseball players. And we're going to create the combine for volleyball players, where we do 4 upper extremity tests and 4 lower extremity tests. And then we rank them, because volleyball players and baseball players and swimmers, they're going to be different. So you rank them according to their sport. And then the tests you give them are as sport specific as we can get. And now the competition, where do I rank element comes into it. And I'm testing something that if it gets better, it's been shown somewhere to say, well, your performance in the game gets better, which is really what I want to do. I don't want to just get better at a thing in the gym. I want to get better at the thing on the field. So I'm a little pissed that this wasn't a thing in 2016 when I graduated. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I love it because you basically talked about the last 15 years of my life in creating. We ran the U.S. Army All-American Bowl Combine for 10 years. And now with BlazePod, we've taken that and we've run with Kerry Walsh's P1440 program. We run hundreds of girls through volleyball performance using BlazePod.
Yeah.
It's like the BlazePod games or whatever it is. We've done agility tests and cognitive tests and speed tests, all using BlazePod across numerous different sports. What we haven't done is exactly what you're saying, and that's incorporating that into the world of physical therapy. Baseline testing first. How are you getting better? There's also so many advocates for using BlazePod for concussion protocol as well.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
When you talk about the brain and you talk about these gold standards, there's always this hesitation, like who's going to pave the way? Who's going to lead the path where we're not doing something that is so disruptive that we're going to get criticized. We're all so worried about our reputation, which I believe is important. We're dealing with human beings. We don't want to hurt anybody. But at some point, there's got to be like the group that comes out there. Maybe it's the foundation, partners in research. Maybe it's the path that Davies, Wilk, Zach Thomas, and Lewis, like they're on to this return to play. There are enough people now trying to do what you kind of said in this setting that we as a team, we're now here in the US 5 years. Our company's about, I think 7 or maybe 9 years now old. We're at a place where we want to support research. We want to support all these things. And now we're finding PTs that can find grants, and they're finding compliance reports, and they're now knowing how to bill for BlazePod under neuro. So, and that's only happening like this year. So like that was the big thing before. It's like, oh, you're not compliant. How do we code this? How do we do this? And now I just had a phone call with the compliance officer, and she's like, we tag it neuro, and we've had success doing that. So
Yeah.
I think we're getting to a place where we can now start creating these great modalities using this incredible tech to get our clients where they need to be. I hate to say it, but faster, like more enjoyable and faster.
Well,
because
the enjoyable part,
it forces you to go harder.
yeah, it makes you want to do it. What's the biggest differentiator? What's the best exercise to do for ACL reconstruction? The one you're gonna do. That better exercise that you don't do doesn't work. So if you can make me do something, I'm not a math guy, but something is better than nothing, right? I looked at it like a patient acquisition driver, right? That combine idea I had was probably ahead of its time. Like the tech it would be too complicated for us to do it back in 2016. But it was like, hey, every first Wednesday of the month, we're gonna do the volleyball combine. And we're going to get the message out to every volleyball team in the area. And you come in and the testing is free. Because baseline testing is great. It's fun. It exposes people to the clinic. Maybe peripherally down the line, that person's like, oh, I was in there. That space is dope. That is a place I wouldn't mind working out and getting better. That's your referral. Those are table stakes, right? Getting people in and doing tests. But now it's not just come see our space. It's bring your workout clothes, man. Bring your sneakers. We're going to do some stuff. That's free of charge, right? But now you get into, well, what's your goal? Well, I want to get a scholarship in 3 years to play volleyball in college. Well, according to the 1,000 people we've run through this test, volleyball players in your age range, people like you who want to do the thing like you fit in the top 50 percentile. You probably have to fit in the top 10 percentile if you want to get a scholarship. So here's the plan. So that's what you sell is the path. You're Yoda, man. You sell the path to get there to become a Jedi, but you don't charge them for the lightsaber, right? Like the lightsaber is BlazePods. That's come on in here. Let's see how you do now. And then by the way, I can help you do it later. To me, it was patient acquisition. Make it fun. And here's the best part. We talked about this a minute ago. The bar's so damn low. You're competing against the beige painted office with the 42 rubber bands and the weights that aren't heavier than a gallon of milk. The bar's so low, you instantly stand out. You immediately, you are light years ahead of your competition. So when there's a choice between your clinic or the other clinic, that choice is typically binary. You either choose A or B. And if you're not picked, you lose. There's no second place in the second best PT clinic, right? When you're talking about one patient and who they choose. I feel like for an investment on a couple $100 in BlazePods, this is a layup. Like you're going to make your money back in a day, 3 days, a week at tops. If you open the box. Yeah.
You got to open that box. And there are grants out there too. This poor girl, she's like, oh, we don't have money. We've been looking for this grant. And the we don't have money thing always trips me out. I'm like, your barrier to entry is like $400. Like you can get everything you need for $299.
What's the Four Seasons? What's the Lamborghini of like everything in a box? Like I was looking online the other day. It's a couple $100, right?
If you get like we do this something called the PT facility clinic bundle, okay. And that gives you, that's 12 pods. It's basically it's 12 of everything basically, and you're looking at like $1,000.
$1,000 divided over 12 months, and you're saying.
Well, you're getting 12 pods. You're getting the chargers. You're getting the cords. You're getting the cone adapters. You're getting the suction cups. You're getting the straps. You're getting the wall mounts. You're getting the pod bases. Like literally anything that you need to support your clients.
I don't want to challenge people and be too edgy, but if you can't make this worth 10 times $1,000, you're not you're just not creative. You don't even need to be that creative. You just follow what other creative people have done. And this thing is going to pay for, in my mind, again, I'm getting no financial obligation, reimbursement from BlazePod. If you want to send me a kit, that's cool. But to me, there's a layup where if this doesn't pay for itself, you haven't taken it out of the box, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And the other component we look at is we want you to succeed. I'm doing hour introductory sessions all the time with different clinics.
Oh, so if
you buy a facility bundle and you have 6 to 10 clinicians, jump on we do this for free. Jump on. I will talk to you. I will have my app, my pods, and we'll walk you through everything.
Yeah.
because
Good
we
layup.
want you to have success, because the more success you have, the more you're going to spread the word, the more you're going to use them properly, the more they're actually going to be lit up in the clinic. The thing that
Yeah.
frustrates me the most is when I go into a clinic or somewhere and I see they're like, oh, I bought them like 4 years ago. Like, we've just never used, they're just sitting in a corner. And like, it legitimately hurts my heart.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like, they're so good. You're not giving your patients what you could be giving
Could
them.
be given.
It's like doing them a big injustice.
I remember on my rotation, even like, I mean, I was working in a skilled nursing facility for a few weeks, and like just bringing simple games like a Wii or something like that made people's minds change. Oh, she doesn't do PT. She doesn't like get involved. And you put something in front of them that beeps and flashes. Our brains are wired for that. Like in a good way, we're big dumb animals. All right, MC. Last thing we do on the episode is called the parting shot. It's your last chance for like a mic drop moment, soapbox statement. What would you want to say to the audience, mostly PTs or PT students that listen to us? What's your parting shot?
Parting shot is I have no idea why Jimmy is wearing a New York Yankees jacket since my Dodgers beat them last night.
Hey, listen, you can't jump off. I'm from New York. You can't jump off. Congratulations. They did play a hell of a series.
Sorry, that wasn't that was the mean parting shot. The
I'll take that
parting
shot.
is this. Like, I was an employee for BlazePod. I found BlazePod because of the neuroscience work that I was doing as a strength and conditioning coach and a behavioral psychology guy. Let's call it an enthusiast. I found them to be literally the best way to spread my message. And that message was this idea of, at BlazePod, we call it reactive intelligence. I always termed it cognitive agility. It is the idea of this neuromotor training, this neurocognitive training. And again, like I said, my suitcase with all the colors, the cones, the numbers, everything, this simplified it. And now all I need is a suitcase the size of a small, or a case the size of a small football, and my phone or device that I have on me all the time. That's all you need. And your entry level is $299. And that's for 4 pods. You go through SME, they'll give you their SME discount and make it even less expensive. Yeah. So it's such a small barrier to enter. And I just tell people, like, just start there. Start at the bare minimum, and then you can always progress from there.
Crazy idea at CSM BlazePod Happy Hour. I'll live stream. You can test yourself at baseline. Test yourself after 1 drink, test yourself after 2 drinks, test yourself after 3 drinks to see how your reaction time is declining. That's real world testing. PTs would get behind both of those things.
I'll get behind that 100%.
MC, appreciate the insight. I think this is a tool that is not done figuring out all the places it can go. And the best part is the audience is going to go there and take BlazePods with them versus the other way around. You don't have to, you're not going to really have to, you're going to try to keep up, really, because you got creative professionals who want to get people better. And your technology does that, and it adapts, which is dangerous in a good way.
Well, and the other thing this is a no-brainer for occupational therapists. Like, you're a traveling therapist, like
portable.
Yeah, portable. Put nothing else in your bag but these. Like, you've done it. Because then you can use this. You can make the stairs smart. We call it making things smart. Make the stairs smart. Yeah. You make that step over thing smart. You make this red light, green light game in your hallway smart. So there's so many different components you can do.
Love it. MC, appreciate the insight. I would wish BlazePods luck, but I don't think you need it. So well done.
Appreciate your love, man.